crypto bouncing back today, especially Total 3, which is basically altcoins excluding Ethereum. Now, it is on edge right now because the chart I'm about to show you is basically the Bitcoin chart I've been talking about for the last couple of weeks, which we are seeing a rising wedge pattern, which is a bearish pattern I think we should all be paying attention to because Bitcoin, whether you like it or not, it is still the driver of this crypto market. If Bitcoin dumps, that's going to be very bad for your altcoins. I never trade altcoins without a clear understanding of Bitcoin, and this is why I talk about it first things first. We're gonna be getting into a few pieces of major economics and crypto's news first before diving into a few altcoin charts. Gonna be taking a look into ZORA, XYO, Verasity, some of which are requested by my viewers. If you guys have any requests for any coins in this market, make sure to drop a like, comment, and subscribe. I'll pick a request to do for you guys on a daily basis. Now, we're going to be getting into the charts, the news first before diving into the charts here. So, first piece of news is by You Today. $1.3 trillion Morgan Stanley to launch Bitcoin trading in months. Just looking at news like this, I mean, it makes me want to ask myself, how can I be bearish about this market right now? We have quite a few things that are very bullish for the markets. One of which is the main one, is going to be the FOMC, the Federal Reserve, just starting its Fed rate cut cycle. And we're expecting two more Fed rate cuts here in the year, okay, according to the CME Watch tool. Overwhelmingly, let's just go and pull that up right now, okay? This is the CME Watch tool, and we are still looking at over 90% of a probability of an ease for October, okay? Almost, I mean, this is basically almost 100%. I know that these probabilities can change on a day-to-day basis, but from what it looks like right now, it looks like we're still getting two more rate cuts for this bull cycle. Okay, so that is very bullish for the markets because that's going to drive cheaper money into the markets, as we have seen back in 2021, back in the 2010s. Now, next piece here is going to be by Crypto Potato. Short-term Bitcoin holders are capitulating. Bullish or bearish signal. Now, we are getting some mixed signals here on the charts. I'm going to be honest with you with that. Okay, we have some possible bearish divergence, which is based on the oscillator, the RSI oscillator, that is very effective, that I've been using for the over past 5+ years. That is telling me, there is going to be a pullback on some of these higher time frames. However, there has been exceptions, especially during major breakouts, like the ones back in December 2020, October 2017. Could this be an exception? Look, nothing is 100% in this market. I'm just telling you about what has happened, what the probabilities are, all right? And you guys can make your own judgments. All right, next piece here is by Cointelegraph. Bitcoin struggles at 113K as Fed's Bowman hints at faster rate cuts. Let's take a look into this key point here, because this could be interesting. I think that could. It just depends on the tone of why the Fed rate cuts are coming faster, right? If it's nothing about anything that's catastrophic, I think that is going to be better for the markets, right? Now it says key points. Bitcoin faces problems recovering from its dip to 112K as traders agree on the odds of a fresh dip. So it looks like traders are agreeing on another dip here, okay? Now, NASDAQ performance is on the radar as overheated RSI conditions raise concerns over a crypto knock-on effect. I mean, there is also a overheated RSI on the stock markets, right, on the S&P 500. But I think the stock market is looking pretty bullish right now, making new highs, and breaking out of a bearish pattern on the weekly time frame. And all of this is going to be, in addition to what I said about the Fed rate cut cycle. I mean, could it take a little bit of a pullback? Yes, but then, I still think, my opinion here is still bullish, okay? I'm still long on Bitcoin. I'm still long on quite a bit of the altcoins here. So my opinions on this market is bullish. But these are just my opinions. Like, the entirety of this video is not financial advice, and you guys gotta make your own opinions. A senior Federal Reserve official puts faster interest rate cuts on the table. Okay, so let's see if that actually changed the probability of a rate cut, in terms of its a higher rate cut, right? Let's see here. For October, we're currently at 4% to 4.25%. So the next October one, it looks like we're getting a overwhelming probability of a 25 basis point rate cut. Okay. How about for December? That's gonna be an interesting one. Okay, it's a little far to look ahead to December, because probably it could change quite a bit, right? And we still got over 2 months, almost 3 months even. And it looks like it looks like we're still getting an overwhelming probability of a 25 basis point rate cut. Assuming that we get a 25 basis point rate cut in October, it looks like we're just going down to 3.5 to 3.75. Okay, so let me know what you guys think. Okay. All right, next piece is by ZY Crypto. Bitcoin co-founder Arthur Hayes doesn't see Bitcoin hitting 3.4 million by 2028. Here is why. I think 2028 is a little too close for Bitcoin to be at 3.4 million. As bullish as I want to be, I just gotta be realistic. I mean, that is still quite far away. I think it's gonna take probably 2 or 3 bull cycles to get there. Okay. Let's go ahead and take a look into Crypto Potato. The next piece here is by Crypto Potato. Arthur Hayes predicts resurgence of up-only crypto season. Okay, let's read a little bit more into this, because we have some conflicting opinions, right? We have a piece of news here that was mentioning traders seeing a fresh dip, and now we have Arthur Hayes seeing a resurgence of up-only crypto season. Okay, so it really depends on what time frame they're talking about. Okay, I think that's going to be a main point to consider. Let's see if they mention that. Okay, so former BitMEX CEO and current Maelstrom Chief Investment Officer Arthur Hayes believes that a significant bullish trend in the crypto space is just a matter of time. So he doesn't really specify a time frame, which is vague, so it's not that useful. He predicts that increased US liquidity will push BTC to over 250,000 by 2025 year end. So now there is a specific time frame, right? Now that is a lot more useful. Okay. So 250,000 by 2025 year end. That is quite crazy, because we only got 3 more months left. So let's see if that happens. I think that is a possibility, probably a slim chance. I would say on the lower end of chances, right? I think something like 180 would be more probable, right? That is just my opinion. Let's take a look here. Okay, so yeah, Federal Reserve rate cuts and efforts to expand the money supply, like I've been mentioning. Okay, so Hayes appears very optimistic about the future of the top digital currency by 2025. Yes, I mean that is a big prediction, because we only got 3 more months left, really. All right, let's come back here and let's go to the charts. What am I talking about for Bitcoin? That is gonna put the market on edge, this crypto market on edge. I've been talking about this rising wedge pattern. Rising wedges are bearish patterns you should definitely be paying attention to because they have a higher chance of breaking to the downside. If this thing breaks to the downside, let's just say, for example, by this point, that will give Bitcoin a breakdown target of almost just right underneath 80,000 here. That is catastrophic for the altcoins. Will Bitcoin break down from this pattern because it's very close to a breakdown point? I would say the breakdown point is about 110, right? 110K, which is a very important support level. For a few reasons, because that was basically the resistance that was set last year. And we are also on the weekly 21 SMA that's right underneath the price action. The short-term weekly moving average is currently support. If that thing breaks, then it could look like we're breaking down from this rising wedge pattern. All right, and that's not going to be good for your altcoins. Let's go ahead and take a look into daily time frame and see if I can get some more clarity on what Bitcoin could be doing. Now, daily time frame, there was a falling wedge. Bitcoin broke out of this falling wedge pattern back on September 2nd, and price target for this falling wedge pattern would be about 121.5K. Now, price targets are estimates only. There could be more, there could be less. Okay. It's not 100% that it's going to get to a price target just because you see a breakout or breakdown. So some things to be considering because nothing in this market is 100%. Now I talked about the daily the daily moving averages here. Okay, Bitcoin has basically broken below the daily 50 SMA and daily 21 SMA, so it's not looking good on this daily time frame here. Now, what would I do if I see a time frame that is not looking good, meaning that moving averages get broken? I zoom out and see on what time frame am I still seeing a higher high and higher low trajectory. Okay, so let's zoom out. This is the 3-day time frame. We no longer have a higher high, higher low trajectory on this 3-day time frame as well, because the previous low was this 3-day candle close, and we have a lower low. So let's zoom out a little bit more. On the weekly time frame, we still have a higher low trajectory, at least since this bounce here, right? Since this bounce here, we still have a higher low. So I have actually entered into another long position on Ethereum based on this idea. I know that we are on the edge of a possible breakdown, but I can tolerate this risk. This is just what I'm doing personally. It is not financial advice. And of course, the entry is only half the game. The exit is the other half, and you have to manage how you exit. And how I manage my exits is by consistently charting the new data that's coming in and see if I should be getting out earlier or later. So that is my general sense of the exit. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to altcoins now. That's basically what I'm looking at for Bitcoin, and that's why you should be paying attention. Let's go ahead and go to ZORA, which is a requested review by one of my viewers. Okay, let's take a look into ZORA here. This is the weekly time frame. Okay, had quite a bit of a surge here, right? And it's there was bearish divergence on the weekly time frame, pulling back quite a bit here. I mentioned on the lower time frames here, there was a falling wedge pattern. Okay, I'm gonna wait for my chart to load here. There was a falling wedge pattern. I know my chart's gonna load because I just saw this right now. So I'm just gonna wait for it. Okay, so it's gonna lag. It's not loading. Let me go ahead and I'll reproduce the chart here. Okay, so this was the falling wedge pattern. That's probably more validated on a lower time frame because I usually like seeing 3 candles touch, at least 3 candles touch on a particular trend line. So I'm reproducing this chart right now, so excuse me if it's not exact. Okay, so falling wedge pattern usually are they break to the upside. Okay, let's just say if it breaks to the upside by this point here, for example, price target will still be about 13.5 cents price targets. Now, I mentioned a possible cup and handle scenario here on this lower time frame. It looks like that was a fake out, and ZORA basically got rejected at this upper trend line, and it continued further down. What is happening with ZORA right now is I'm seeing a double bottom scenario. First bottom here, second bottom here. So first bottom on the daily candle of September 11th, second bottom on the daily candle of September 20th, okay? And double bottoms are usually bullish. They usually break to the upside. Price target for the double bottom would be, let me see if I'm measuring that right. That is correct. Price target would be about almost 12 cents price target for ZORA. So this is basically what I'm seeing for this double bottom scenario. However, gotta consider the downside as well, because even though double bottoms have a higher chance of breaking to the upside, they can still break down. And this is gonna be a very important move here on this daily candle, okay? Because it looks like it's trying to break down again. Let's go ahead and go to VRA, Verasity, see what's happening with this coin here. Weekly time frame. Talked about this falling wedge pattern. Broke out of it quite some time ago. Quite a few weeks ago. It hasn't really done too much, okay? Price target would be about 1.5 cents for VRA, which is still pretty significant. Let's go ahead and go to the daily time frame. Daily time frame, nothing has really happened, okay? It's still running within this falling wedge pattern that I charted quite some time ago. Price target, if it breaks out by this point here, would be about 0.00177, okay, price target, if it breaks out by this point, for example. 4-hour time frame, still got a falling wedge pattern here. Let's see if it breaks out of these falling wedge patterns. Okay, with the price target of about 0.0014. Okay, that is going to be VRA update. Let's go ahead and go to XYO Network. See what's happening in this coin here. Weekly time frame. Falling wedge pattern. Broke out of this falling wedge pattern quite some time ago. It has not been doing too much. It's been consolidating. And however, this breakout is still valid because the price action is still above this upper trend line of the pattern it broke out of. Price target will still be about 3.9 cents XYO Network. Let's go ahead and go to the lower time frame and see if I can get some more clarity. I mentioned this falling wedge pattern here on this daily time frame, broke out of it on the day of September 9th. Price target would be about 1.15 cents. Now, since the break out of here, it has only gone to as far as about almost 1.1 cents before getting rejected. Possible double bottom scenario here, not exactly formed yet. There is also a smaller falling wedge, right, on this, probably on the lower time frame to be paying attention to. So you've got a falling wedge that is formed, a double bottom scenario that could happen. Okay, so that's basically what I'm seeing for these coins here. Let me know if you guys want to continue seeing them or any other coins in this market by dropping a like, comment, subscribe. I'll pick a request to do for you guys on a daily basis. I'll see you on the next one.